Good morning and welcome to Hump Day, the way that only one channel does it, and that is us, the CLL community. Good morning, Kent Corbett. I love your posts I see in different Facebook chats about Lily and Jack because, well, my dude, you have what is uncommon in this world anymore, and it's called common sense. Wait, what? Said thank you so much for the membership. You are welcome. You are so welcome. This is probably one of the most giving communities you're ever going to be around. Like right there, Sophia Petrillo. Already, it's raining in here. I'm telling you, it's going to be a day. Y'all get your umbrellas. Keep them handy. Keep them handy. Now I'm going to help you navigate a little bit. I'm just learning it myself. We have playlists on the channel. We have one for Jack and Lily, Madeline Soto, Summer Wells, Michael Vaughn. The list goes on and on. We also have one that is just for members. When you go to the community tab and it says posts, if you're a member, it's going to say members, and you'll see things that go on behind the scenes, and it's a lot of fun, especially our members live. Good morning, Chatty Jen. Good morning. Well, it is Wednesday. We're wearing pink, driving pink, or thinking pink, but first thing we have to do is say hello to Mike.
Oh, guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody? Julie, hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on, I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike? Leslie, guess what today is?
It's hump day.
It's hump day. Jules says, I have on a pink gown. Damn, Jules sitting there drinking coffee in a muumuu. All right, there you go, Jules. This is for you. Whew. Technically, I have on pink because I have on a not-so-fetch tank top from Louisiana that has faded. So I'm going to go ahead and say I'm complying today, too. Well, with all that going on, let's not forget to tell each and every one of our friends good morning. All right, here is the latest that just came out yesterday from MSN, which picked it up from Global News. They said that law enforcement, RCMP, is narrowing down the timeline. Because you have to admit that this 2-hour gap is too big of a timeline. Now remember, they're out in the middle of nowhere, Nova Scotia. So they're going to have a hard time figuring out the timeline because it's not like the kids were walking around with pagers from the 90s or cell phones. There's not going to be a lot of digital going on here. To me, this latest update from RCMP is not a surprise considering that they have put up a $150,000 reward. Now, I've had some comments from people, they want to know if that's Canadian dollars or US dollars. I don't know a nice way to say it. Don't worry about it, because you're not going to get it anyway. You don't live there. You don't know those people. So don't fret about it. Okay? All right, we're going to start with this.
It was from their home in a deeply rural part of Nova Scotia that 6-year-old Lily Sullivan and her 4-year-old brother Jack seem to have disappeared without a trace. Despite multiple searches, there's been no sign and little information until the Nova Scotia RCMP released an important detail.
We have confirmed that Lily and Jack were observed in public with family members on the afternoon of May 1st.
The children were reported missing the morning of Friday, May 2nd. Their mother has said they'd been kept home sick that day and the day before. A massive search followed until May 7th, when police announced efforts would be scaled back. Additional searches were held throughout the month. Confirmation they were seen on May 1st helps fill out the timeline.
It just shows continuity of who saw them last. Now, they don't say where they saw them.
Retired Police Staff Sergeant Jim Hoskins isn't involved in the case, but says it's rare for two children to go missing together. And since RCMP said early on there was no evidence of abduction.
If it's not a voluntary trek into the woods, you only have one other option if there's no abduction. That option is a criminal investigation.
So far, this remains a missing persons case. RCMP have been tight-lipped, but investigators are now asking for any video, like dashcam footage, taken the week the children went missing along the remote road beside their home, where residents live far apart and the woods are dense.
Everybody should come forward with any footage that they have, anything that's likely. I mean, every tip counts.
Donna, this case has generated an intense amount of attention online, sparking conspiracy theories and rampant speculation. The RCMP has cautioned the public to stick with credible sources of information as the work to find out what happened to Lily and Jack Sullivan approaches the 1 month mark.
Heidi Petracek in Halifax, thanks.
Or way past the 1 month mark. We're coming on the 2 month mark. So that's definitely just a recap. However, what came out yesterday saying that law enforcement are trying to narrow a timeline. They want a tighter timeline than what has been provided to them. Would it be fair to say that something in this case is not making sense to them? Hence why the reward. Now, there is one officer that says adamantly they've got to be out in those woods somewhere. Again, we're looking at such a weird coincidence and happenance. How can two kids in the woods, no big deal, but two going out in the woods and both within 2 hours getting hurt to the point where no one could find them? I did see a very interesting comment by someone that said maybe Jack was running out in the woods and Lily went to save him when something happened to him. Still, I love the comment. I love the thinking outside the box. What are the odds? 2 children and no trace. Now, I've seen a lot of conversation about Cody, the biological dad. He's cleared. They don't need his ass at all. Rumors about Child Protective Services checking on the family. I could imagine if the kids are missing school for no reason and we see how Dumpster Dan keeps a home, I imagine they would be inquiring as to what's going on. Now, I have a question here for my Canadian friends. It has been said that Malaya receives money every month for Jack, Lily, and Meadow. So what would the motive be? Because if Jack and Lily are gone, that's 2/3 of her income. It doesn't seem to be that she would have any motive to not have Jack and Lily. Then we go back to, was Child Protective Services really honing in on them? I don't know. It just, nothing makes sense. Of course, everybody goes back to Daniel. And I have to look at what would his motivation be. unless the CPS investigation was focused only on him. Kent said, yes, chow baby bonus premier $700 for kid. So she's getting $2,100 a month. Kent said, but the rumor locally now is that she didn't get her income tax filed last year. So if that's the case, the money will all be held until she files her income tax. Well, who the hell wouldn't file their income tax if that's all they have to do? It's not like she has to do a Schedule C because she's got offshore accounts and everything. If that's your bread and butter, then why the hell did you not file it? Again, that's a rumor. We're going to talk about the cousin because I don't know these people. I do not know these people. First, let's start with the reward because, like I said, it makes sense that they came out and said now they're narrowing the timeline. Okay, so that's on top of $150,000 reward. They're not buying this timeline, is how it appears to me.
The province of Nova Scotia is offering a reward of up to $150,000 for any information relating to the two siblings who were reported missing last month. 6-year-old Lily and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan were reported missing from their home on May 2nd in Lansdowne Station in Pictou County. In a brief phone call today, the children's maternal grandmother told Global News the family's focus is on finding Lily and Jack, and they hope this reward will help. Premier Tim Houston says he's also hoping for the safe return of the children. Nova Scotia's Justice Minister says the province is doing everything they can to support the RCMP in the investigation.
Everyone's obviously still hoping for the safe return of the children. It's a really difficult thing. The whole community is feeling that emotion. So I know there's been a tremendous effort and response to try to find them, and the response continues, and we're all just hoping for the safe response.
We appreciate the work of the investigators, the RCMP, and others who responded in the early days and as the case has unfolded. To support the search and now the investigation. We really appreciate the work that they've been doing, and we want to do everything we can to support that.
And Drouin says while she can't speak to specifics, rewards like this from the province have generated information for previous cases, and she hopes it does the same for this one.
Well, if you're broke as a joke and you know something that's going to help them with the timeline that could lead them to Jack and Lily, I would think you'd speak up. Interesting phrasing. I like it. Up to $150,000. Hell, the way the FBI in America does it, you might get $5. People are speaking out, though. They're sharing text messages. Now, you're always going to have the people that say, oh, that's not real. That's AI. That's not real. That's AI. You know, if something doesn't meld well on your palate, doesn't mean that it's fake. So, like we do, we absorb what we can and we throw the nonsense away. But sometimes within the lies and the nonsense is the truth. So I'm going to start with our buddy Evil Exists that shared some text messages that were shared from Malaya.
Sadly, Jack and Lily Sullivan are still missing, with no confirmed sightings since May 1st, the day before the siblings were reported missing. A number of text messages have been floating around online. The last batch we saw was from Daniel Martel, and it seems like he was defending himself and his relationship with the children, emphasizing that they came to him for everything and not.
That's all Daniel has been doing. That's all Daniel has been doing is defending himself. Several people have spoken out saying that the primary caregiver for the children is Daniel. Malaya is not what they would call a real hands-on mom. Now, these are people that have recently seen the family, seen the couple, which is totally opposite from what Cody Sullivan's mother said, because she painted Malaya out, and I believe her, to be a great mom. Never took her eyes off of him. The truth has got to be there somewhere. Or it could be what the officer said. And I haven't seen the poll. What are we doing on the poll right now? That they are truly out in those Nova Scotia woods, maybe trapped under something from all the debris from Hurricane Fiona. Nothing in these cases shocks me anymore. It used to. Used to make me shit and fall back in it. Now, once we get some clearance and a light bulb, I go, figures.
Malaya. They were wild with Malaya, but well behaved and listened to him. Well, some people believe these texts are the truth, and Daniel said all these things. A number of other people are very skeptical. I'm going to say let's take everything with a grain of salt, and make of it what you will. More texts have been released a few hours ago from the channel.
Can I say this? Oh, first off, Cat. Fouls 63%, abducted 15, Woods 1, and other 21. Ooh, well, you guys got a lot to say. It kind of seems like, as I've seen pictures of Cody, appears to me that Malaya had a pretty good life with Cody. We know that the mother-in-law is very nice. She has a very nice house. Cody and Malaya seem to be doing well with the kids. You ever seen those women that downgrade? Because Malaya she's a very pretty woman. Daniel's not somebody that would exactly turn my head, if you know what I mean. Dumpster Dan, with all that shit around the trailer, crazy ass mom, only working 1 day a week. It really leads someone to ask, what's really going on here? Most people point at drugs. Well, just like pew-pews. Drugs don't have a mind of their own. Okay? They don't. So if they were doing something, it's still their fault. Do whatever you want. But please don't blame it on I'll just say, a vice. Because either way, you know you're responsible for your children. I still want to know why she would go from Cody and a nice life they had to Dumpster Dan. I don't get it.
It's a criming shame. The channel is linked below. This is the same channel that released the texts with Daniel. These texts are between
E. Burke said, I heard Ernie Shell was going to be here. He's in chat. We've been going back and forth about some information that came out in Summer's case, but I have to get it together first to be totally prepared. Don't worry. We will get to it. I promise. Hang tight.
between Malaya and the paternal grandmother. It's interesting to get an idea of Malaya's state of mind on the day the children vanished. She says that she was keeping them at home because they had a cold and they got outside using the back door, and they can't hear that door. I thought they initially said only one of the children had a cough, and we couldn't figure out why both kids were kept at home. It goes on to say they like.
Now, most mamas would say if you're keeping your children home because they're too sick to go to school, then what are you doing out by the mall? Daniel said that's where they were. They were somewhere by this mall. It'd be one thing if you take the kids to the doctor because you don't want them to get pneumonia or, sinus infection, what have you. So what are you doing tooling around on Thursday and then the kids disappear supposedly on Friday? How does that make any sense? Now, I've kept my kids out of school before. We would do like what we just call a hooky day. Play in the pool, go do something, just have a little mental health break day. Go get some Mexican food, maybe go to the movies, get everybody recharged to get back to normal life. This doesn't make any sense to me unless that was the plan. So don't even say, well, maybe it's illegal. Does anyone know, is it illegal to keep your kids out of school unless if they're not sick? I mean, you can't do it a lot.
Exploring the woods and playing in the woods under their supervision. This is interesting, since Daniel said Malaya rarely went outside with the kids. It was him taking them outside. She says she is so distraught and never thought they would run off like that. She says they've been missing since 9:40 and they like to wander a lot. This is interesting. The grandmother asks if she wants to demand more searches, and Malaya replies to say they have a big search team right now, and more are coming, but they want information about Cody because he doesn't see them. Malaya says that many are suspecting they were picked up by somebody because there is no trace of them or Lily's backpack. The grandmother then questioned if the kids go out to the road. Malaya says normally no, but if they were in the front yard and someone stopped and convinced them to come over, they would go. They don't understand stranger danger. So far, I only got through these first couple of texts, and if it's true then it seems that Malaya was trying to get a version of events out there to everyone that would question what happened to the children. This grandmother is also the one that showed up at the vigil, and has been posting almost daily on Facebook about the children.
Belinda just seems like the sweetest lady to me. She really does. Heartbroken. 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 I'm writing down different coincidences, okay? Kids are out of school for 2 days for a cough. Now, there was a planned day off from the school, April 30th. Okay, so they get out on May 1st. And some people, if their kids are coughing, they're like, I'm not going to send them to school just for them to call me in 30 minutes to come pick them up and say, your kids are coughing all over the school. We don't want them getting anyone else sick. But here is such a crazy coincidence. The kids are out of school. Supposedly Malaya says they're never outside unsupervised, but the day they go missing, the day of, not being supervised, they go missing. And this is with a cough and being told you're sick. Just too many things are not adding up. All right. Our dude Justin, friend of the channel, one of the main reasons that I don't go live on camera, because I can't compete with all of this. Justin too pretty for me. No way. If I turned my camera on right now, you'd be like, put a post-it note over that bitch. Let me look at Justin. But this man, he claims to be Malaya's uncle. And he swears he knows what happened to those children. Is it a troll? Really an uncle? I don't know. As of right now, the story has not been proven or disproven.
Okay. What's up with you tonight?
I think there's a little delay between us or something.
Yeah, I think there is quite a delay.
So are you related to Daniel or Malaya?
I'm the relation of Malaya.
Gotcha.
I'm the Malaya side of the family.
Gotcha. Well, thank you so much for calling. I do appreciate it.
Now, if he called old Justin up and had an accent like mine, I would immediately yell, bullshit. But since I'm so globally cultured, I can tell he definitely has a Canadian accent, but it's different than cats. Not cats, Pats.
So,
well,
what
that's good, I guess.
So what is your thoughts on, first of all, what is your thoughts on everything happening?
Well, things are breaking loose. I'm very disappointed today. The second half of the day sickened me really, but I was very close to finding the last two pieces of important information out.
Mm-hmm.
And I got sort of, Malaya won't talk to anyone.
Right.
Not even her own mother. Not even her own mother.
Mm-hmm.
And I gained Malaya's trust, and she agreed to talk to me this afternoon to meet, because there was a couple of things that I can only get. I know everything else. I believe I do, and I'm very sure I do. I know everything that happened.
Okay.
I'm friends with Daniel, and I'm friends with Daniel's family, and they trust me. And of course, my family on this side, they trust me.
Uh-huh.
So I'm not overly, I don't know what you call it. I'm not a detective. I'm just a regular guy.
So is Malaya with her mom? Is she still staying with her mom?
No, Malaya took off to the reservation, and she's with her Indian family now, and they're all around her.
Okay, I've heard that. Yeah.
Brooks family. That's where her name Brooks comes from.
Okay.
Not to be confused with your buddy up here, Brooks. Okay? She's not staying with me. I didn't know Brooks was an Indian name. Have to have Pat look into that. I didn't know. Shit. That's a new one. Damn. Okay, so she's on the reservation with the Brooks family, not her mother. Okay? And it seems like, and we've seen it in other cases, this guy isn't exactly what I would call prime time ready. He doesn't quite understand how social media works and how firecrackers like this turn into house fires, because people are really coming unglued about this.
Okay.
And she's with the Brooks family right now. And CPS took Meadow, no doubt, because she was living at Cindy's place supposedly under 24-hour supervision by her mother and her mother's man.
Right.
But anyway, she ended up. We had a little event there yesterday, and I think I caused it. I meant to stir things up, because there was nothing happening, and I meant to stir things up, and I did. And she panicked. This is my belief now. She panicked, grabbed Meadow, and took off to the reservation. And she feels safe at the reservation in amongst her native family. They're all very close.
Okay.
And that's where her lawyer is too. Her lawyer who represents her is a native lawyer. I believe the chief on that reservation is a female now, and I've referred to the chief on that reservation a few times as he. I think it's a female.
Okay.
But anyway, the lawyer she has is the chief's brother. So.
Okay, so the chief's brother is her attorney. We heard that a long time ago. So, I mean, as of right now, he seems pretty credible. I did see a picture of him and Malaya that is time-stamped. He definitely knows her. And if you do a little bit of bing, 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 boop, 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 you can see that this guy really is a relative. Blue Jay said, besides, we are not Indians. We are Native Americans. Indians are from India. That is weird. That's my neighbor behind me is full-blood Muskogee Nation. He doesn't dig the whole Native American. He's always just like, I'm an Indian. So I guess it's just, you know what, how people prefer to be called. My favorite pronoun is you. How you doing? How are you? Are you having a good day? What are you doing this weekend? I don't get into all that stuff because I'll screw it up every time. Every damn time. Every time.
On that reservation a few times as he. I think it's a female.
Okay.
But anyway, the lawyer she has is the chief's brother. So she feels safe there, and I think she is safe there. Now, you're going pretty hard on Daniel, and I think if you I've investigated. I had trouble getting in touch with Malaya because she initially took off, hid, and shut right down. Like I said, she wouldn't talk to her mother. She wouldn't talk to anybody in the family at all. She just shut right up. So I spent most of my first time looking into this. My family called me. They live over in Truro, that side of my family, mostly in Truro. I'm 40 miles east of that.
Uh-huh.
And Lansdowne is 20 miles west of me.
Hold on. Where's Pat? I don't know where these places are. Are these in the same province, or are the kids in New Brunswick, as has been rumored? Not the kids, but Meadow. Britt said, but why wouldn't the authorities know of this? They might. We have learned the hard way with these cases. There's many things that the authorities know, but they have to piece things together to make a case of it. We learned that on Monday with Barry Morphew. Kat said, Google Earth, Brooks, like all good YouTubers. Yeah, where is that bitch? Where's Emma? She could have had this shit solved a long time ago. She could pull up some Google Earth from 2013 and have this shit solved. Come on, quit slacking, Emma.
20 minutes west of me. So being a member of the family and then knowing Daniel and knowing his family pretty good, I sort of got caught in the middle of this because my family called me and they know I know the Mackenzies. Daniel's name is Martel, but his uncles and most of his family, their names are Mackenzie.
Mm-hmm.
And my people in Truro, my family, called me and asked me if I could look into this because for the first 2 weeks I didn't even piece together that these were our kids, that these were in our family. And there was stuff happening around me that I didn't know was connected until after I realized who it was. And then...
Okay, so what do you think happened to... what do you think's going on?
This is why I'm trying to communicate this stuff on social outlets.
Uh-huh.
That's the big deal. This has been worked up so big because just a couple people made a couple little mistakes at the start of this. There's no murder, there's no abduction, there's no child trafficking, there's no big meth house, there's none of that.
Where's the kids? That's the main thing. Just where are they?
This is why I just told you I'm sick to my stomach right now because I was just about to meet with Malaya and there's one piece of information that I needed off Malaya and she was ready to give it to me. But then her family on the reservation strongly advised her they didn't think it was safe to talk to me. Now, that's a big mistake because believe this or not, she's my family. And I wanted to help Malaya.
Right.
And I wanted to help her because I do know so much about this and I know what happened and believe this or not.
Well, but if you know what happened, why are you not telling RCMP?
Great question, Justin. Great question. If you know what happened, why are you not telling them? Is the uncle, for one reason, I'll say family member, for one reason or another, is he protecting Malaya? Okay, now what Kent said earlier in the show, by the way, love that name. That's actually my son's name as well. Said earlier in the day, she stopped receiving money for the kids because she didn't file her income tax. Money has been a big problem. One of the text messages she sent to someone, I guess I'm just going to say a friend, said that she still has access to Daniel's money, but he has spent it all, and she was trying to order some things from Temu, freaking tariff Temu, for the kids. Now, how much sense does that make? If the kids need something, go to the effing store. Why are you going to wait 6 weeks on Temu to send that shit from China? And she's saying it's Daniel's fault because he's spending all the money. Also, again, this is a rumor. I don't live there. I do not live there. It is said since this happened, Daniel has not been back to work at all. So again, we're going through the coincidences. The kids did not go to school. They were kept out of school on Thursday and Friday. Daniel did not go to work on Friday, and that's the day the kids went missing. Malaya says the kids are never outside unsupervised, but the day they went missing, they obviously were unsupervised. Woo!
I told, and this is another thing. Every time I talk on here, people say, "Oh, he's going to tell the cops." Got to tell the cops. I told the cops. They're not acting on. They're not acting on what I told them at all. And the last couple of pieces, the last important piece of information I got, I refused to tell them, and I'll tell you why. What I need Malaya for now is to. I know that Malaya took the kids to the side of the road, and I know she transferred the kids into a vehicle, and this was early in the morning, and I know the vehicle took the kids out of there, the 2 kids.
Okay, so Uncle says what I need from her now. But then the sentence trails off. I know early in the morning she took the kids to the road. Now that would make sense if she was expecting the school bus to get them, would it not? But you would stand there and wait with the kids for the school bus. Now Daniel says they kept telling the kids to leave the room because everybody had a case of the sleepies. Nobody could be bothered with turning on the TV, making breakfast, laying clothes out, anything like that. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody did not tell him this story. And if he knows that the 2 children were taken out to the road and they were picked up, somebody would know who picked them up. And that's the problem when it comes to rewards. You see, if you're the one that did the crime, you don't get the reward. No, you don't. You don't get to profit off your crime.
Now, I believe Malaya's intention then, Daniel was asleep, and I believe Malaya's intention then was to go in and get the baby and take the baby and then take off too. Malaya wanted out of there. She wanted out of there for at least a few weeks before the disappearance. And so what she did, she made a mistake doing it that way. But you've got to know Malaya. Malaya is a very mild-mannered person. She's not. There's no aggression in Malaya. She's a very peaceful,
Yeah, she doesn't.
mild-mannered person.
She doesn't seem like an aggressive person. She seems like a non-confrontational person.
Very non-confrontational. Does not believe in, like, for kids. She does not believe in any kind of corporal punishment. Like, she does not believe in a slap on the butt or even a slap on the hands.
Mm-hmm.
Now Daniel is more old school like myself, and I do believe in I do believe in a slap on the arse once in a while for a kid that's, but I mean, that's about it.
But
And
why would she? Why would she take the kids and do this and create this big of a stir?
Because number one, she wanted out of there. The relationship was not going so great for a few reasons.
I've heard that.
The relationship, now financially, Daniel was doing his part, even though you see all these people on here screaming about Daniel working 1 day a week. Well, that's bullshit, because the mill he works at is just up the road from where I did live. I just moved not too long ago. It's only a half a mile up the road from where I live.
Mm-hmm.
And just on a sec, go here.
All right, he's saying that's BS, that Daniel doesn't just work 1 day a week. Well, we know that the day that the kids went missing, Daniel wasn't going to work. He said there wasn't any work. Now, I'm going to flip the script a little bit. So if Malaya wanted out of the relationship, she's done it before. She did it with Cody. Hell, she left like a thief in the night. Why would she pick a day that Daniel's going to be home to pull this? Why would you want an extra set of eyes on you? You've already got his crazy ass mom and his deadbeat brother. So if he's not going to work that day, why? Like I said, why would you pick a day that the person that you're having issues with is going to be home? Daniel claimed to have seen the kids. They kept sending back out of the bedroom. Somebody has got to be telling the truth.
The reason I got to know Daniel was my youngest son worked at the same mill with him.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, they were only half a mile up the road. So they got to be pretty good friends, and they'd stop, of course, at the house. And my son's got an old camper and that down back that he sort of hangs out in by the water, and he enjoys it back there. So let's shut this phone off. So anyway, that's how I got to know Daniel, by his association with my son.
Mm-hmm.
Now Daniel, when anytime Daniel was around, and Daniel's another one. Daniel is not a good person at all. He's a soft-spoken young man. He's not aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
He's very respectful.
Mm-hmm.
I like Daniel. I always did. And I realized, I just had to shut that phone off. People are calling like crazy. I realize, and I don't know if you do or not, but a lot of people, I'm an older guy, and I've been through the mill a little bit with marriage and all that stuff and relationships. And no permanent relationship ever goes perfectly.
No, there's no such thing as a perfect relationship. But
that's exactly right.
But why?
And then when you add a few things.
But why?
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Okay. The more that comes out about Daniel and Malaya, this thing is going all over the place. This thing is going all over the place. Okay. Relationship's not going good. You think? Did you happen to see that yard? Did you happen to see the shit they live in? I could see Malaya going, Dumpster Dan's just not doing it for me. Dumpster Dan's just not doing it for me. But again, why would you set this up on a day that Daniel's home?
Why do this? Why create this big stir? Like after the RCMP arrived, why didn't she say, hey, I just need to get away from Daniel. I don't know how to do it. The kids are here.
You just hit it right on the button. She wanted to get away from Daniel. She didn't know how to do it. And where I was going with what I was just saying to you is there are allegations of abuse in amongst there. And Malaya being so mild-mannered, I believe I don't have to believe.
Abuse from who?
I know she was... Pardon?
Abuse from who?
Well, what do you classify a slap on the arse as abuse?
Okay. The only person, obviously, she was trying to get away from is, I'm going to assume, Dumpster Dan. Now then, when other family members showed up, one being Cody Sullivan's mother, to help look for the kids, shit blew up real quick. Because Daniel's mom threw all their asses off her property. Doesn't look like it hurt Malaya's feelings too bad, because she was getting really tired dealing with Toothless Wonder. She'd had it. Now, as far as people saying she's so mild-mannered, she can't be that mild-mannered because she already left Cody. Nice house, job, all that stuff. So she's not that mild-mannered. Sometimes people can have that presentation, but that's not really what's ticking on the inside.
That's the whole question.
So in America, we are allowed, in most states, I think in all states actually, we're allowed to spank with the hand. And that's it. I think it's wrong. I don't think it teaches kids anything, but there are some people that are fine with it.
You just stated my case for me. You're a person that thinks it's wrong, and there's many people, but yet you just said it's legal in parts of the states, and many people think it's right. So it's a difference of opinion, right? You just stated this better than I probably would. So Malaya and Daniel had those two different forms of opinion on it. Exactly what the two you stated.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now.
Okay, we're going to come back to that because it appears that what he's trying to say is Daniel uses corporal punishment. She's 100% against it. And so she wanted to get away. She wanted to get out of there. Get her kids to safety, you name it. Okay, we know that Child Protective Services was involved. That might have been enough to scare her because she doesn't want to lose her children, because her side piece is spanking the kids. You know, this is all, and remember, this is all third-hand information.
The two kids are not Daniels that are missing now.
Correct.
They were Sullivan's.
Right.
And Malaya had a terrible time with Sullivan. He was very abusive, and I think Malaya was still, like, I don't know whether you believe in PTSD, but I think she had quite a bit of it from her previous relationship. And whenever Daniel has a temper, but all he ever does when he has a temper is raise his voice, and that terrified Malaya. You know, whenever they'd have a disagreement, if Daniel raised his voice, it terrified.
Kind of brought those feelings back from her old relationship.
That's right. So what was going on, that was going on, but they had a good relationship. They were getting along very well for a long time. The kids were well looked after. I mean, I know it's just an old trailer, but you've got to understand something else too, that a lot of people live like that down here because the economy's bad, And everybody says about Malaya should have had money for the kids. Well, she had some financial difficulties, and a lot of her money was frozen for quite a while. So, and like I said about working the 1 day a week, these mills down here, they close down in the spring and the fall for road closures, cross road closures, and then for the rest of the year. Now that mill usually 6 months is a small year, and it usually runs at least 9 months a year full time. So they always get their unemployment renewed every year. And the reason they keep them 1 day a week is if you're a good employee, they don't want you to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
So they pay you the 1 day. They pay you the 1 day a week, and that tops up your unemployment, because here in Canada you're allowed to make 25% without them deducting any off your unemployment. So you get your unemployment, and then you get the 1 day's pay, which comes out to almost a week's pay.
So my question is, do you think the kids are on the reservation, or do you think someone has them?
I am confused AF. Okay. PTSD from Cody. Her funds are frozen. If Pat's not in her gazebo or watering flowers or chasing bunnies, hopefully she can grab the link, or Kent or somebody help me understand. How do you the funds are frozen? Is that because she didn't file taxes, or what's going on?
Someone has them, and no, I don't think they're on the reservation.
Okay. Because, I mean, the
reservation will not take that. The reservation, the councils on the reservations will not take those risks.
Bingo. Yes. And the thing is, I don't know who anybody would take this much of a risk in holding kid.
Oh, do my eyes deceive me? Look who's here to answer questions. The one and only #WWPD What Would Pat Do is in the house.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Okay, you're going to have to help me navigate this. So her funds are frozen. She wanted to get away from Daniel. PTSD from Cody. What's really going on here?
Well, funds are frozen if you don't file last year's income tax. So if she would be getting money for each child, I don't know what it is these days. I'm hearing something like $600. And I think it's called the GST thing. See, I don't have little kids anymore, so everybody gets a GST check if they earn less than a certain amount of money. But if you don't file your income taxes for last year, which should have been filed by April 15th of this year, then you get no more checks until you file your taxes.
All right.
So like the baby bonus, it used to be called the baby bonus years ago. So she wouldn't be getting any if she didn't file her income tax. It's as simple as that. They do that so they can keep track of people. It's a great idea.
It is. Yeah, because
you want free money, free money from the government, file your taxes.
Kent Corbett said GST is separate. That's another $147 every 3 months. The child tax care credit is almost $700 per month per child. So at the least, she was getting $2,100 a month.
Yeah.
Now I go back to her talking to, I'm just going to say, a friend, saying she still had access to Daniel's money. And he was spending it all, and she needed to get some stuff from Temu for the kids, which the word kids surprised me. And Meadow's a baby. So what are we talking about here? This is blowing my damn mind.
Yeah, no idea. I don't shop Temu, so I have no idea what crap is on there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I hear it's like it's a joke with most people. So I have no idea. I'm an Amazon girl.
I'm an Amazon girl too. There used to be a company called Wish, and for like people that I don't, really care for, I would send them like Hillary Clinton toilet paper and stuff like that from Wish. It'd take a good 2 months to get it, but those were my Christmas gifts because I'm talking it cost nothing.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you need something for your child, you just go to the store and get it. You're not going to wait 2 months to get it from Temu.
Yeah, but some people just order things because they've got their phone in their hand. It becomes a habit. I mean,
yeah.
Right? How many people here, even listening, have ordered stuff they really didn't need and they could have gone to the corner store to get it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, we all have. I do. And I think, why did I buy that? But I was just bored, and if you're not happy, people, shopping is what do you call it? It's a feel-good thing. So
now the question is, where is she getting money to do all the Temu stuff since her funds have been frozen? What does it take to get the funds unfrozen?
she has to file her taxes. Which she could do online and, cost $20 with, who do I use? TurboTax cost $20, $21. And they file it immediately to the government right over the internet. And her funds would be released probably within a few weeks. As soon as they receive it and okay it, then all the money that she hasn't gotten would be sent right away.
Well, I would think so. And if I was her, I'd get right on that. And, not to call anyone a liar, but this doesn't seem like something that she wouldn't do. It seems
a lot of people don't do it, Brooks. A lot of people say, oh, I haven't filed in years. I help people do it and I file it for them. One of the persons I went back 5 years and filed it for. Because it's free money. Why not just file your effing taxes and just get what the government's handing out before they stop it? That's the way I look at it.
Well, I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do it for a lot of people. Because once I hear I say, oh, how much do you get GST or whatever? And they'll go, oh, I haven't filed my taxes. And I think it's such a waste. But some people don't. They just haven't got it in them to do it or whatever.
Oh, it is a waste. Yeah. I mean, if it's there, you better get it.
That's right.
Because the next boat might sink. We know how governments work.
Yeah. Now, maybe she was planning on doing that. And then she would have got a chunk of money. And who knows, how the money situation or the finances were split up in their household. Like, nobody ever knows those things.
Yeah. No. And that's one thing. When people talk about the way they do their finances in their house, sometimes I just go, what? Really?
Yeah. Everybody's different.
Everybody's different. And sometimes it makes me wonder, with all these abuse allegations and her PTSD and all the things that we're hearing, if maybe she did have the money the whole time and was planning a getaway.
Possible. You never know. If they shared one bank account, they would both see how much each other had. A lot of old-fashioned people like to have communal bank accounts. So who knows what their family was like.
For real. Mm-hmm.
And literally their freedom at stake.
Yes, sir. Now, you're starting to get to a part of the root of the matter. The people that are involved, that I believe I came so close right up to today, moving right ahead. I was getting good information. I was from multiple sources. I know I ran my own excavation business here for 30 years, and I knew 5 years ago I knew just about everybody in the county, and everybody knew me. And I had a good little business going. I was busy as hell, so I knew a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
So once some people around here realized that I was related to those kids, there was people coming to me with little bits of information. And I was using a lot of that information to cross-reference and cross-check from different sources, so that, you know, if 3 or 4 different people, or even if I went to see them and asked them questions, nobody minded me asking questions either on the Mackenzie side or on my side. Now, Malaya was the only one she shut down, but see, I had no access to Malaya.
Okay, we're going to come back to that. Rexy said, hey, Pat, watch it. That's the way me and hubby do it. Faux show, because I have a rule in this house. What is yours is mine.
Yeah. I always had communal bank accounts, but I hear my son and daughter-in-law, theirs are separate, and then they have one communal where they both throw in the money for the common expenses.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever, you know. Whatever makes them happy.
You know, if 3 or 4 different people, or even if I went to see them and asked them questions, nobody minded me asking questions either on the Mackenzie side or on my side. Now, Malaya was the only one she shut down, but see, I had no access to Malaya for quite a while. I didn't have her phone number, and the Mounties were telling Malaya and Cindy not to speak to anybody. Now, they couldn't order them to, but they suggested to Malaya and Cindy, don't speak. We how do they say it? They never ordered them to, but they suggested that here with their investigation, if they spoke to anybody about the investigation.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Malaya and Cindy, you know, they couldn't, but they took the Mounties' advice.
Right.
And okay, so that's why Malaya wasn't speaking. Like I said, Malaya's mild mannered. He's a nurse, and that they're very rule-oriented people as far as social rules and the law. They respect the law. They respect the Mounties. They respect government, and that's why they listen to the Mounties. They think the Mounties are a good leading force and a good God.
Mm-hmm.
So they listen to them. Now, my opinion of the Mounties is. And that's another reason I got involved when my cousins asked me to, because the Mounties were doing nothing. Nothing. So, next week, I was knowing more, I'm sure I was knowing more than the Mounties, and I was getting so goddamn pissed off about it.
Mm-hmm.
That, now, I've been in contact with the Mounties, like I said. I called the major crime unit a few weeks ago, and I had a meeting with them. And I told them a couple of tips that I knew at that point.
Do you think they're at this? I can't even begin to pronounce it. SHUBENACADIE.
Yeah, the Shubenacadie Reserve. The Shubenacadie Reserve. Yeah.
Okay.
Short for Shuby. Everybody around here calls it the Shuby.
Okay, and that's just another reservation, right?
Yeah. It's I believe it's Micmac. That's Malaya's heritage is Micmac. Yeah.
Okay, but I thought you said that you didn't think they were on the reservation.
No. You asked me. You never asked me if they were on. I told you no. I don't believe they're on the reservation. You said you had a hard time pronouncing SHUP, so I said Shubenacadie, and that's the Micmac reservation. So no, I don't believe they're on the reservation at all.
Okay.
And I don't believe they ever were.
Okay.
So,
but who would end up taking these kids with such a national story and the implications that could follow of hiding? I don't understand why.
Okay, I totally agree with Justin right here. Now, the day that the children went missing, obviously, it wasn't a national story. Nobody even knew who these people were except for just their small circle. That's how life goes. That's how everything is. So as far as hiding out the children, who would really have the nerve to keep hiding them out, knowing there's a reward, knowing that they're narrowing down the timeline, knowing all these stories? I don't doubt this man has been told a lot of things.
Yeah, sounds like it. From lots of different sources.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he sounds like he believes everything he's saying.
Oh, I would agree.
And he's definitely an East Coaster. I can hear it in his voice.
Now, when we see East Coaster here, we're talking like New York accents or like Chrissy. When I ask her all the time to say, can you park the car around the corner? And I can't do it like her, but she'll say, I parked the car around the corner.
No, we can tell an East Coaster, and that is the eastern provinces, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and Newfoundland. You can't miss. They're even more so. PEI. That's what we mean by East Coaster.
Got ya.
Heron Choker is the nickname.
Oh, what?
Heron Choker is the nickname.
He said that too. What does that mean?
I don't know. It's just they call them heron chokers. With respect, it's not a degradation or anything like that. It's just everybody has nicknames.
Oh, sure. It's all with love. You mean, are there like heron birds there that they choke and eat?
No, I don't think they choke and eat them. You know what? I'll ask my friend later because her mother always said it. Always. I'll ask her what it means next time I see her.
Sidonia said because of the ship.
I don't know.
We're going to find out, though.
Malaya just wouldn't say, guys, the kids aren't missing. I just needed to get out of there. Our relationship fell apart. I was scared.
Yep. That's the normal reaction of a fairly confident person.
You're breaking up now.
Okay. You can hear me now? That's the normal reaction of a fairly confident person. Malaya is very unconfident. Like I said, she's very mild.
I know, but
like
listen, like confident or not, we're over a month into this.
We're over 6 weeks into this.
Right. 6 weeks. Yeah.
Now, listen. And you're saying about worldwide attention and all that, right?
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't worldwide attention at 7 o'clock in the morning on the first day when there was no attention. There was nobody but
you're still breaking up.
Okay, I don't know what to do about that. There was no worldwide attention when the snap decision was made to ship the kids out of there. You've got to understand this. Malaya is a very passive person, and she decided. Now, for weeks before this, she was telling that family members she was done with the relationship. She wanted to get out of there. She was now.
Allegedly, there's been rumors that, and again, it's alleged. I'm not accusing her of this at all, but that she may have been seeing another person.
No.
Okay,
no.
And you're
there's so many rumors on here, my friend.
Oh, I know that. Yeah, the bigger the story gets, the crazier it gets.
Malaya just got.
Oh, you're going to hear tons of rumors. Malaya's, shagging ass with another dude. He was crawling behind all those pallets in front of Dumpster Dan's house, and she was meeting him there. It's going to be all kinds of stuff. She could have just left with the kids.
Yes. As Kat says, that's our question. If that was it, why didn't she just leave with the kids? Or after that morning and the kids got away and all the shitstorm happened with the police and blah, blah, blah. I can't believe she would keep a story going if she knew where the kids were. I just can't believe she would keep it going this long. So,
and that's the thing. Too many people that she knows have heard this story.
Yeah.
And the question is, then put an end to it and just say, I wanted away from him and I know where my kids are.
Yeah, she could voluntarily admit herself into a psych ward. A 10-day hold. And that would give her an out if she knows where the kids are. I mean, she could walk in, start up a 10-day hold and say, yep, I took them, here they are, blah, blah, blah. And that would end it all. A mini nervous breakdown or whatever, PTSD, which, I'm sure could have happened. But if she knows where they are, she's got to end it. She's got to, stop this.
Yeah, because these stories that everyone say are coming from her are, well, I mean, they're all the same. I mean, they're all the same, and they're from different people.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess it could have been 1 in a million that a car was driving by, the kids were playing out front, and someone snatched both of them. And that could be a 1 in a million thing that happened. It just doesn't seem likely.
And my next question is, if she had this planned, why call 911 immediately, like she said, when she realized they weren't outside anymore, when she didn't know they were outside because she can't hear the door? So why call 911 if this was your plan? Just get gone and call Dumpster Nan and say, joke's on you, dude. We're gone. Bye.
Yeah, and as this gentleman was saying about her personality being passive and this and that, passive people aren't going to phone the police and lie. They're going to be too afraid to.
Mm-hmm.
Passive person would not do that. I don't think.
They'd be too scared, but they could. They'll run. She did it from Cody.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And she made it well known. She was getting away from him. I mean, we heard her former mother-in-law say, "I'm going to support you. You're a good mom." I mean, all that stuff. I just, we hear that she's so mild-mannered, she's so meek, she's so passive, and then we hear all this other stuff. That there's this huge fight on Thursday when they got back from, tooling around that day, to somebody, she was at the driveway and somebody picked the kids up. And again, Dan is there the whole time. Dan was with them on Thursday. Dan didn't go to work on Friday. So what is really going on? And what could even be the motive? What could even be the motive? Dan gets no money for him. She's the one that gets money for him. The only thing I can think of, if there is foul play, would be Child Protective Services nosing around, wanting to know what's going on around there.
Yeah. But then she could have still left and gone to the reservation with all the children.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the reservations are very welcoming to their people, right? They would take all of them in. There's got to be women's shelters in there, and nobody's going to get past the entrance to a reservation if you're there to cause trouble. So that would have been her safe haven. But that hasn't come out, so I don't know.
Well, and we also have a 2-hour time gap from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. So what happened in that 2 hours? We can't just be laying in bed telling the kids to go eat a Pop-Tart while we sleep in.
Well, some people do.
Hmm?
I've seen it. I've seen it.
And
I agree with it, but some people will do it, right? Go turn the TV on and grab a Pop-Tart.
Yeah, I'll be up in a little bit.
Yes, I can see people doing that.
They're in the middle of nowhere,
Right.
and no, that's not even.
But who picked up the kids on the side of the road?
This is what I needed Malaya for. This is what I needed the meeting with Malaya for today, before her native family cut off our communication.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pretty sure, I would say 80% sure that I know, but I will not speculate. If I tell you something, you don't know me.
Mm-hmm.
But if I tell you something and I say this is the truth and I know it, I've got very good background on it to know it. I've proven it. I've cross-referenced it. I've looked at it myself and know it. Now, there's some I don't know. 2 weeks ago, there was a lot I didn't know. But gradually, it's getting cut right down to what I do know. Now, the last two things I don't know for 100% sure is who Malaya gave those kids to on the side of the road, who was driving, and there was more than one person in the vehicle. Now, this major crime unit, I talked to the cops, and a couple of the things I gave the cops, one was very important at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to go talk to the people myself after that, and they never even interviewed them. They never even checked up on it.
Okay, Vibes said if that's the case, they'd be better off in school all day and out of the way.
Yeah, that's what we've been saying. If she
Yep.
wanted a day to sleep, why didn't she send the kids to school? So
Or if they're being abused by Dan, it's much easier to pack up Meadow and get the hell out of Dodge while the kids are in school. You can go get the kids from school, but instead of them riding the bus, then all of this nonsense. And I don't see any Indian reservation hiding out kids, at least in this country, because the last thing they want is the damn FBI coming in and jacking up all their shit saying, hey, you know better.
yeah, and the RCMP, the same thing with the reservations in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
They want to keep a pretty good relationship with them as much as they can. There's always bickering about land still, and all that stuff.
Oh, of course.
All the reservations in the East Coast, most of them are Mi'kmaq. That is one of the. I don't know the other ones that are there, but every time I've done anyone's genealogy, it's always the Mi'kmaq. So
Interesting. Very interesting. And I don't doubt this man was told this by Malaya. And I don't doubt that he did call Crime Stoppers or whoever else. What I do doubt is the load of bullshit that was spoon-fed to him. But either or, what is out in the universe, somewhere in it, there is some truth.
Yeah,
but I mean, they've obviously checked all the cameras, right? They've obviously checked all the cameras where Malaya was, where Daniel was, all of that. Why?
Listen, the cameras that they checked in the community, they're in Lansdowne. The little and it's not a community, Lansdowne, really. It's just a house maybe every 500 yards, a dwelling every 500 yards for a while, and then nothing. For about 8.5 kilometers, there's nothing to Glengarry Station. Glengarry Station is the prime place where they got the cams, where they got access to the cams. Now, I believe there was one or two in the backwoods, quite a ways behind the property, but they never got very much camera footage from anything.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, I'll ask you a question. It's what it's been 6.5 weeks.
Yes.
Do you really think that if the Mounties solidly investigated this and know what they're doing, that they'd be dropping $150,000 on it now? Does that not admit to you that Jesus Christ, we need help? We don't know. We can't prove anything here.
I agree. I agree. They don't have what they need.
Nothing. Now that what they have is a lot of suspicion, and I'll tell you where they got most of it was directly from Daniel. But Daniel is you were pretty hard on Daniel as far as flip flopping on some facts.
Yeah, because he's flopped more than a fish.
If you knew how much is in his head, I think you'd forgive him, because he actually knows a lot more than what he's trying to say. There's a lot more to that.
But listen, you can't say the thing about it is like he's saying, he got up and then he was asleep, then she was asleep, and just so many different stories, right?
I'm going to interrupt it right there. Yesterday, we did a show for Michael Vaughn's birthday. We went through a very old video that Chris McDonough did at the Vaughn's home. We heard Michael's grandfather talking about times, what time he was at the splash pad, what time he brought the kids back home. We heard Tyler talking about, different times. I am not saying that Daniel or Malaya are guilty of anything. So as Justin is saying, Daniel has flip-flopped more than a fish. Well, you don't know what's going on inside of his head. We spoke about this yesterday. How come people that are innocent AF, never have an issue with their details?
Yeah. I agree with you there, Brooks.
Asleep, not asleep, breakfast, can't hear the door. The minute we heard they were outside, went to check, didn't know they were outside. Once we realized they weren't outside, Malaya said she immediately calls 911. And this whole thing that they're putting out is not plausible. Okay? It's just not. The truth will come out. But what really upsets me is if what the one officer keeps saying, that the kids are probably out in the woods somewhere and we just have to find them. Yes, we haven't found them yet. That is true. Have we been looking? For sure. But there's a lot of places they could be, that they could have been hurt at and stuff like that. If that's what's going on, then there is no reason for all these different stories. Okay, let's think about that. If the truth is that they opened up that door that nobody can hear because it was the only thing taken care of on that beat down trailer. All right. That's the only thing taken care of is that sliding glass door. Everything else is a shit pile, but that well-oiled machine. And then called 911. Okay. If that's the story, then there's no other story. Simple stories are the truth. Convolution and all of these other things that are going on, that's when the water gets real muddy.
He's saying, that he knows that Malaya is terrified. Investigators are close. That she knows that if Malaya stayed there, she would have cracked and all of that. And it's you just don't. Sometimes it's better to just be quiet. You know what I mean? Like, I would refer him to just be quiet, to be quite honest with you. I don't think, the RCMP might like it. After the interview that he did the other day, and then, they'll know if it was him last night on the internet or what. And if it was him, I'm sure the RCMP are going to be either hung up on me or we broke up. We were having a little connection issues. So we'll see if he calls me back. Let me see.
Nope, he lost him. And how sad for these people that are being put through all this and told these things, and their gut is wrenching because these babies are missing.
Yeah. And that grandma, she sounded really.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Man, horrible. Well, if you guys have time, another friend has spoken out, Anyone have time for this? Put a 1 in chat if you have time. Put a 2 in chat if you're like, nah, we'll get to it another day.
I can't see chat, but I'll go 1.
Okay. Kat went 1. Kat said, we got time, baby. All right. Here's another one, and we see it in every case. This is an interview done by the mob crew. Again, you can see what's scrolling at the bottom. Fair use, fair use, fair use. We're talking about missing children. Not going to get all territorial like Daisy going, you stole my content. Break your 6 child. You take my content. You take my content. You would want your content everywhere, considering we're talking about a missing baby.
But it's ironclad. It's 1,000% true. Okay? I know exactly what happened to the kids. The kids are alive. The kids are probably not in Nova Scotia now, but the kids are safe. The kids are being taken care of by...
The province of Nova Scotia is offering a reward of up to $150,000 for any information relating to the 2 siblings who were reported missing last month. 6-year-old Lily and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan were reported missing from their home on May 2nd in Lansdowne Station in Pictou County.
Welcome Mob Crew family. Today's video is a bombshell in the Lily and Jack Sullivan case, as there are many new shocking details and updates we will go over in this video. Jack and Lily Sullivan have been missing for over 7 weeks now, and it appears things in this case could be ramping up. Recently, a man that is allegedly related to the family claims he knows that the kids are still alive, and claims that the mother Malaya...
Woo! Hold on. Jace Doom said, so if her money was on hold, it was more likely she got caught filing single when she wasn't. They are sticky on that. And if you are lying about your relationship status, they will cut you off. Woo! Pat. Help.
Well, that is true if she, well, if no, I thought of that the first day it happened. Like I thought, okay, how are they filing their taxes? Because she would get more money for all the children if she said she was rooming somewhere. If she said she was with, you know, a partner, you get less money. And she wouldn't get necessarily that much money from Meadow because she's living with the father of Meadow. But yeah, and it's possible someone could have ratted her out. Like that happens all the time.
Okay, so somebody
so
came
that is a possibility that her money is frozen because of that. I mean, that is always a possibility.
Okay, because I don't know the system. I don't get a check for OJ. I don't. I get nothing. I get nothing for OJ. OJ
Well,
is
if you're a single mother, you get more money. If you're not a single mother and you're living with a partner, they take things like that into consideration. You would not get as much money.
okay.
And a lot of people, yes, they do it that way. But
Mhm. Okay. Now my train is going off the track with that comment. Now she could have been under a criminal investigation for illegally filing. And
yeah, but it's not that big a deal. It's really not that big a deal. They send you a thing saying, you know, we found out that you have a partner, please respond. And they'll give you like 30 or 60 days to respond. And if not, then they just reverse everything if they have proof that you're living with someone. And then the government just holds it as you owe them money. So any future monies coming to you, you're not going to get. It will go to what you owe the government. But it's not like they're going to take you to jail.
well, I wouldn't think so. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we don't have debtor's prison here, but I would think to Malaya it would be a huge deal because one way or another, they're going to get their money back for false filing. You would get penalized to your eyeballs.
Yeah. And someone could have also threatened that to her and hung that over her head. Like, we don't know the whole situation. I'm not saying Daniel would do that or his mother would do that, but it can happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, somebody say you do this and I'll let the government know that you've been filing illegally or filing, not truthfully.
All right. So the kids disappear allegedly on Friday morning. The next day, people show up to help start searching. Makes no sense to me why you'd wait a day, but hey, not my circus, not my monkeys. Isn't that what the cool people say? Not my circus, not my monkey. She gets back supposedly with her mother, and the first thing she does is she gets on Facebook to let everyone know she's single.
Right. That's kind of weird.
I think the money has a lot to do with this. Well, I tell you what, you guys teach me something every day. Shit.
Was the one who had the kids removed. And on top of that, recently the RMCP announced a huge reward of $150,000 for information leading to the siblings. So a big question many may have is the timing of this reward connected with what this Darren guy is claiming? He has since shared more details about what he claims to be going on with the siblings. But is this all true? And what about the reward? Here is his latest interview with YouTube channel, A Criming Shame.
I can't say who they are, and I can't really say what they told me, but it's ironclad. It's 1,000% true, okay? I know exactly what happened to the kids. The kids are alive. The kids are probably not in Nova Scotia now, but the kids are safe. The kids are being taken care of by, I'm sure, by Malaya's native people. My number one goal, if we could get those kids back alive, that would have been it. No.
Okay, different story from cousin than we heard from uncle. Sunshine said if missing, they can't file for benefits. Woo. Okay, I don't know how that works, so you guys are educating me. I think the question might be, it's not so much about the benefits anymore. It's about the penalties she might have been afraid she would have to pay back because she was filing that she's a single mama, working her fingers to the bone, needs help with these kids. And the truth is, she wasn't. She was shacked up with Dumpster Dan.
Yeah, and if they're missing, she can't file for benefits. Well, you don't file every month. The checks are just automatic. Just like they were with Harmony Montgomery. Nobody knew she was missing. They kept getting her checks. It's the same here. Somebody would have to phone the government and it would start a big thing if someone phoned and said the children are missing. So it's the same as in Harmony's case. The checks just come every month. You have to notify them if the children aren't living with you anymore or are missing.
Right. Now, I would say in this case, they're pretty well aware that the kids aren't with her because they're missing.
Yeah, but that's a different part of the government. It's like the missing children, the RCMP aren't going to notify the federal government and say, oh, by the way, hold that check. Like, that's not going to happen.
Okay. But I mean, my question is, I'm not trying to make this too difficult because my brain's going everywhere. If it's all over the news that these children are missing, would somebody in the government put a hold on those checks knowing she doesn't need them because she doesn't have the kids with her?
No.
Okay.
I'd say no.
All right.
Knowing what I found out today through CPS and the information I found out from this person, and believe me, it's ironclad. It's 1,000%. The kids are alive, and somebody has them that's taking care of them. Meadow is in custody of CPS, and they're going to decide where Meadow goes. Jack and Lily, I'm telling you, they're alive, and I'm sure they're being protected by the Native community, probably not the Native community in Shubenacadie. And they may not even be in Canada. Now, that's what I know, and there's a big difference between what I know and what I think. So I just told you what I know. If I turn out to be wrong, the source that informed me this afternoon, then I'll fully expose it, because this source is very important, very in the know, very heavy, right in the middle.
So this Darren guy is claiming three major things: that allegedly the kids are alive, the mother Malaya is on the run, and that the 1-year-old baby Meadow is in CPS custody. Now this all began coming out within the past few days of making this video. Around that same time, on June 19th, the RCMP released a huge reward of $150,000 just before the 7-week mark. I wondered if this was a coincidence and they received some kind of intel, or did they hit a dead end and decided to get more help from the public. So I did some research and found out some interesting details. Although RCMP has been pretty silent about this case likely being a criminal investigation, during the past week there is something I discovered, something which I believe could reveal that they really could be onto something. So I went back through all RCMP statements and found this one posted on June 11th. Here they mention the latest details in the investigation, including many different agencies involved in the investigation, including Child Services, aka CPS.
Yep, this came out June 11th. They are joined in their investigational efforts by the National Center of Missing Persons, Canadian Centra for Child Protection, and provincial and municipal police agencies. Now, it got slipped that the Canadian Centra for Child Protection was already involved. Now, I have not seen one picture of these children, except for that nasty ass house, that would make me think that they were being, like, I'm going to say neglected. I'm going to put it that way.
Yeah, from what we've heard from the grandmother, she thought she was a very good mother. So,
You know, and I mean, and all of this right now, I mean, this is much crazier than it needs to be. Right now, it's tragic. You know, these people do not need to pepper it with craziness.
now one thing that sort of does make sense to me is if the reservation people have helped and they've moved the kids to another reservation, their RCMP are hoping the 150,000 is going to get somebody to tell them where they are.
Right. Right.
And that's a possibility. Because I've never, like 150,000, that's an awful lot to be broadcast from the RCMP. Not that I pay attention to them all the time, but I've never heard of that.
I was going to ask you, what's the typical reward that they normally put up?
I've never heard of 150, but I could be totally wrong. That hit me as like, wow, that's an awful lot to put out there. First chance. Like, it's not like they upped it or anything.
Well, and at the end of the day, we do hope this is true and they're alive and well.
Yes.
We do.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely.
If she's going to get penalized for taking money she shouldn't have had, well, you know, that you'll deal with that later, girl. I mean, you know, little by little, it gets paid back, just like every bill we have.
Yeah, and that's even if that's what she was doing. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
You know, she might not have been doing that at all. But well, I'm hoping the 150 will get somebody moving.
Well, and the question is, if she's got no freaking change in her pocket because they said, no, you can't file that you're single when you're with Dumpster Dan. So, I mean, who are these people that have the money to take care of these children?
Well, the reservation would, though. It's like a community.
Okay.
You know, if somebody needs somebody goes in the hospital, it's like a small town community. You know, they would take them in. Anybody would take them in. But with this national coverage, that's not so easy anymore. That's a whole new thing.
They also mention the hundreds of hours of surveillance footage they collected and are requesting more, that they have interviewed 54 people and even performing polygraph tests and the nearly 500 tips received. Now keep all this in mind as I move to the next big clue.
For a lot of people, this story just sounds odd. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Now, this was the latest coverage from the CBC News outlet where they did an interview with the stepfather Daniel and even went to the RCMP for an official statement. Now, let's look at when this video by CBC News and their article were released. As you can see in this YouTube video, it was uploaded on June 19th, and if we look at the article from the CBC News, it too was released on the same day, June 19th. Yes, the same day, the RCMP would announce the big $150,000 reward. Now, usually with these kinds of story segments by news outlets, when they are conducting multiple interviews with family members and law enforcement, it typically means it was done a day or two prior to the actual release. That way, they can edit the video and produce an article on their website. So here is my point. You have a major news outlet that is covering the Sullivan case, conducting a big interview with the stepfather, and also going to the RCMP to get a statement for their story, most likely a day prior to the announcement of the big reward. And here is the statement from the RCMP at that time.
Okay, before I get to this, I totally agree with Mob Crew because we have this interview with Daniel that a lot of people were not impressed with, okay? We have a $150,000 reward for information. Well, guilty people are not going to get the money. So you're up shit creek without a paddle on that one. And then yesterday it came out that the law enforcement is narrowing the timeline. Now, for someone who's involved, I'd be shitting my britches.
Yeah. And, you know, one thing back to that original caller with Justin, I thought the first day or the second day when we heard news of all of this happening, I thought they said the RCMP knew every car that was on that road because of a few people's trail cameras that were faced to the road.
Okay.
So that was directly opposite of what he said. And because I thought, well, if someone picked them up, then they know every car that drove on that road. And unless they can't find one of the cars, they would obviously have checked those. And another thing with this, I have to tell you, I'm writing this down so I don't forget because I forget easily. They said a lot of people have taken polygraphs. And I know how you feel about polygraphs. So I just want to let you know, I've been watching Bloodline Detectives with Nancy Grace.
Oh, yeah.
She's got like 4 seasons of it. And I was on season 3 last night. And I think it was the first 3 people in their investigations passed polygraphs. And 30, 40 years later, they turn out to be the person that did it.
Yep, no shit. That's why I say they are for police. They're not for me.
Yeah. That I thought of you as soon as I saw that, and I thought, oh my God, I have to tell Brooks.
I have got a laundry list of people that have passed or failed. One, you remember the Pam Hupp case from Missouri? We were doing Movie Mondays, going through it. Yeah, Russ, he failed his. Russ did not kill Betsy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, it's quite rare that in my career, I've never seen 2 missing children go at the same time.
Was anything found in any of these searches that was deemed to be of significance? Even if you can't tell me what it was, anything of significance?
So I can tell you that the investigation is ongoing and that we haven't found any evidence to show that there was an abduction of the children.
So you don't think they were abducted, but you can't find them. How do 2 young children just vanish?
That's a great question, Kayla. And we are asking for the public for tips and information. That's a great question, Kayla. And we are asking for the public for tips and information.
So my question here, and the big clue I'm trying to point out is, if they were stuck and the leads had grown cold, and you now have a big news outlet coming to get a statement, which I'm sure they were notified in advance, Why wouldn't they have announced the reward information during this interview, which again was likely conducted a day prior on June 18th? But now you have a guy allegedly close to the family who is claiming that the kids are alive and were likely moved somewhere, and during this time we get the announcement of the reward. Again, the timing of all this is very interesting. Here's a bit more from Darren explaining why Malaya allegedly removed the kids and what she was going through.
Young girl, she's very mild-mannered, very impressionable, and she's had a rough go of it. Not so much with Daniel. Their relationship was a lot better than the relationship they had before. She had a really rough go of it. As far as I'm concerned, she had some damage, she had some PTSD, she had depression, and she probably had postpartum depression. I can't diagnose because I'm a man. But she definitely had some issues. She's a young girl in her situation, wanted out of there, that was looking at it like she just couldn't stand the situation anymore. She just wanted to change her life, okay? But yet she's very soft, very mild-mannered, not aggressive, no real power, no real ability to walk out of that totally herself, okay? And then she reached out to family with her complaints, and she had some friends around her that were her age that were semi-related. By semi-related, I mean to in my family and in her heritage, they had a couple different fathers, like stepfathers, and then the native thing came into it, stuff like that. So she had some girls, and they were all girls. I want you to think about a group of young girls trying to get their friend out of trouble.
So Darren explains that Malaya had friends help her remove Lily and Jack the morning of May 2nd, while Daniel was allegedly asleep. Darren is also claiming that Malaya is now on the run, and that the baby Meadow is in CPS custody. He also states that the kids could be in the States.
These kids could have gone through the big reserve in Ontario. I have a hard time saying it. The one that borders Canada and the United States. I say 99% the kids are with natives. And I want the cops to move your goddamn fat asses, you sons of it. Get on the goddamn move. It's been 7 weeks. You guys have the resources. If you got to break the law, if you got to pull some strings, whatever you got to do, go find these goddamn kids.
Woo! 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 He's mad.
Yep.
Woo! So
Yeah.
the kids could be in the States. I'm assuming that's America. Could be in Ontario. Woo! He's mad. Now, I think I might have something confused. Is Darren the cousin or the uncle? Are these two different people?
They sound like the same person to me.
Yeah, that's what I get for paying attention. It seems to me that, Darren, he knows what's up and he's getting real pissed. And the thing is, we would love to rush justice. We would love to rush justice. I can't tell you how many times I'm like, get off your fat ass and go do something. And it don't work that way. We've seen what happens when justice is rushed. It falls apart. It falls apart.
Yeah.
So I apologize for not knowing that they are the same person. But hey, I barely know where Nova Scotia is. Don't worry. You're in good hands around here.
Well, if she's given them to somebody to hide, my guess is they're in Quebec.
Oh, damn. Look, sitting there with Deb and that crazy husband of hers that doesn't know English. Oh,
But Quebec's a massive, massive province. Massive. And there's a lot of people that live out in the hills in Quebec.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know. That's the first thing I thought of, if she's hidden them somewhere. And you know what? She could have been going through a mini breakdown. She could.
Sure.
And if her main thought as a mama was to keep the children safe, then I can, stretch my imagination to understand, but it's got to end if this is what's going on. She's got to, she's got to end it. I hope to God they are alive. So
yeah, me too. I'm not going to be mad about it at all. I'm going to be like, all right. I mean, there was a woman that called 911. She was in Houston several years ago and said that her children were missing. And it was all in her mind. It was all in her mind. And, thank goodness she got help. The kids are fine. But this BS has got to stop. Now, I'm just confused because on one show, Darren's the uncle, and then on another one, he's the cousin of the grandmother. That could just be YouTube lost in translation. Either way, I see where he's coming from, and he's probably frustrated. He sounds a little older. He sounds a little older,
Yeah.
Like-
I'm going 65, something like that.
Yeah,
60, 65.
Someone that's going to take it hook, line, and sinker, and wants it put out, not understanding, what's really going on. No one's going to understand what's going on until all the wrinkles are ironed out. And that is for sure. Again, I hope the story's true. I do. I hope the kids are alive and they're safe somewhere.
Yes.
And Malaya gets her checks, figures out what to do with her life, takes care of her babies, and hopefully doesn't have another one.
Yeah.
Because if she's looking for another pogo stick, she seems to be fertile myrtle, and she's not doing really good in the pick and the men department or the keeping up with the baby department. So might be a good time for her to say, yeah, I don't think I'm going to do this anymore.
Yeah, she needs to maybe get help if that's what's going on.
I agree. They always say that men think between their legs. Tell you what, these women and those damn pogo sticks, they find something that smiles at them. Tell you what, next thing you know, they're spread eagle in the back of a damn Toyota.
Oh dear. My friend, what am I going to do with you?
I'm trying, Pat. I'm trying.
I know.
I'm trying. Tell you what. Goodness. All right, you guys, this has been a really, really great show. We're doing a show about Summer Wells tomorrow. Heads up, we're going to have a special guest on to talk about the new information from the private investigator. Now, I'm going to need...
Tim Mullins?
Do what?
Is that Tim Mullins?
No, Jason Jensen.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm going to need all hands on deck because, well, we know what happens when I have a special guest in Summer Wells shows. Okay?
Yep. I'll be ready.
Lots of haters out there, and I don't like it. But not hating on you guys because you guys are the absolute best. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Please try to stay cool. I don't think there's anybody on the planet right now that isn't in a close relationship, not with a pogo stick, but with their air conditioner, because it is swamp ass out there. Damn, it hurts.
Even way up north here, it's very hot.
God. Hold on.
Well, thank you for having me up, Brooks, and
well, now hold on.
bye to everyone in chat.
Today is I'm Not Buying Its birthday. Well, you should have. Everyone, we got to sing happy birthday. And it was Jace's yesterday. All right, happy birthday. Well, enjoy your birthdays, your belated birthdays, and, tit sweat and swamp ass and everything we got going on right now. Find a fan, find an air conditioner, whatever you do. Find a pool. Stay cool. All right? Love you guys. I'll see you back here tomorrow. Love you, Pat. You're the best.
Love you. Bye.